in '09, we had a guy that was just buying trucks left and right, and never forget his name. His name is Bernard.
Okay.
Right? He comes in my office. He comes in and it's like, hey, basic guy, regular guy buying a truck with his little duffel bag, right? And hey, I'm here to buy a truck. I'm like, okay.
The duffel bag has money in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was all cash.
Okay.
It was all cash.
All right. I like Bernard already.
Yeah. My kind of guy.
Yeah, my kind of guy.
But he was looking at a truck, and then he's like, okay, I go out there with him. I show him the truck, and, we turn it on, look at the inside, open up the hood. He checks it out. He's like, okay, I'll take it. All right. $40K. Okay. So he comes out and he just busts out $40K cash, buys a truck. Well, the following week, he buys another truck, right? He calls me again. He's like, hey, Ro, I'm ready for another one. I'm like, okay, yeah. What are you looking for? Same type of truck.
Right.
All right, I got 2 or 3 I can show you. So I go out there to the yard, show him the trucks, and he's looking out, checking, trying to see which one he wants. So he picks one out, buys another one, buys a second truck. A couple of weeks later, man, he calls me again. I'm like, okay, but like this dude's something. I got to know what the hell you're hauling. What are you doing, man? So,
right.
Yeah, so I'll pull him out to the side, like, Bernard, like, what are you doing? What are you hauling? He's like, I'm hauling frac sand. I'm hauling frac sand in a pneumatic trailer. And to me at the time, I didn't know what a pneumatic trailer was. I didn't know what frac sand was, but he was in the oil and gas business. So I'm like, man, Bernard, hey, if you don't mind, I'd like to learn what you're doing. Hey, maybe help me out. I'll help you. You help me. Maybe we can both grow together. And I'll find you more trucks, but give me a shot with 1 or 2 trucks, under your company.
Right.
So he did.
Now, real quick, Raul. At this point, the transport side of the business, are you guys still up and running?
We were actually downsizing.
You downsized. Okay.
So I mentioned 08, 09.
The crash.
So the crash, when the market crashed in 08, 09. In 08, we were probably doing about 75 trucks. OTR.
Yeah. And
the fuel, if you go back in the day, fuel spiked up. I mean, it jumped up dramatically. So the company we were working for didn't give us a fuel surcharge. So we had brand new trucks, brand new Pete's, and trailers, and man, we started downsizing.
Got you.
But we were good at the time because we were already building. Triple R Diesel was already building these semi trucks. So we're like, we downsized.
So you kind of pivoted into that.
Correct.
Got you. So you guys had like a dedicated contract with a company. They weren't taking care of you guys on the fuel end, and you guys said, let's kind of pivot into this. The chrome shop and flipping the trucks and so forth. Okay, got it. I just want to see what was going on with the transport because now you're talking about a new transportation business, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's get back to Bernard. Bernard tells you about oil and gas.
Bernard with the duffel bag,
with
right?
the duffel bag, Bernard.
Cash. Yeah, man. So 3 trucks. I'm like, come on, Bernard, you gotta help me out. I'll help you. You help me. Like, give me a shot with 1 truck. He's like, okay, I'll help you out. Like, we'll put the truck under my fleet. I'll take a little percentage off the top, and I'll pay you. Well, this guy was making crazy money. I mean,
what's crazy money?
1 truck, $35K.
One truck, $35K.
Per
what?
month.
Per month? Okay.
Per month, yeah.
And what year again? That's 2008. You said?
That was 2009.
2009. Okay, sounds like good money to me.
Yeah. So 2009, we had this oil boom in South Texas that nobody really knew about, right? So 2009, 2010. The industry kind of changed a little bit to where we had this oil boom in South Texas. Oil was high, the price of barrel, and there was a big need for trucks. There was a need of just trucking. And that's what he did. We were hauling frac sand in pneumatic tankers. So he gave me the opportunity. We started. So I decided to create a company called TCT in 2010.
Okay.
Which we did, and started with 1 truck.
Now, how many trucks did Bernard have oiling the sand at that time?
On his own, he had about 10.
He had about 10. So he was kind of still in the infant stages, just kind of building up himself, and that's when you kind of caught him. So you caught him at a good time.
Yeah,
it wasn't too crazy yet.
Yeah, I did.
All right. So just for the listeners who don't understand, can you tell us like how that kind of works, hauling frac sand? Because you said it to somebody, they may not even know what you're talking about. So what can you tell us about that?
So the oil companies, what they do when they drill and complete wells, so they'll drill a well, and when they complete the well, that's where frac sand comes in. So they use frac sand and chemicals to pump the frac sand and chemicals down hole. So they'll do that, and they'll actually they'll pump the chemicals and sand down hole, and then when they hit the shell formation, it extracts the oil out of the ground. So you got drilling, you got completions, you got production. So that's the oil and gas industry.
You said drilling, completions and then production.
And then production.
Okay, so I know what drilling is. What's completion?
Yeah, so we're delivering frac sand to the well sites. So we load up at a load site and then go to location. We're on location and we're just delivering and offloading to a silo.
Okay, got you. And then once it goes into the silo, because you're talking to somebody who doesn't understand this business. So once it goes to the silo, what does that mean? Like, where is that going?
No, exactly. I mean, even coming from us, like our background, you got OTR, you got reefer.
Right.
You know, I was a regular truck driver.
Right.
And then when you come into oil and gas, and I'm like, holy crap, that's a whole different environment.
Right. You're saying the words that sound like they make sense to you, but I don't get them. So when you say you deliver them to the silo is, I know what a silo is, but where do they go from the silo? Like, is this
from the silo? They actually pump it down ground, down
pump it into the ground, and then that's what fracks the ground, right?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
And then we have a view of our silos. So what we do is we actually unload. It's a good picture right here, which shows you we're actually delivering frac sand and then offloading into those delivery silos.
Okay.
So unloading time's about 30 to 45 minutes per driver. And the good thing is we're actually doing big stages. There's at times we do about 15 trucks a stage.
Okay.
Every 3 hours.
Gotcha.
And it's 24/7 around the clock.
Okay.
So you can just imagine the traffic and the amount of trucks coming in and out of the location.
Yeah.
So right now we got about probably 5 dedicated crews. At times we're about 7 or 8 jobs, but we run 5 dedicated. When I say dedicated, I mean it's just us, just TCT only.
Gotcha.
We handle what we call like final mile delivery.
Okay, got you. So you guys are doing that back and forth how many times a day?
Oh gosh, we were doing, so that was a time frame about 2011. You know, what I call kind of like an old boom in South Texas.
Yeah.
And man, they were raking in money. They were doing good. And so he was paying me every week. So I was working for him, right?
Okay.
I was working kind of like working under him.
Right.
So
like leased under his company?
Leased under his company.
Okay.
So when I decided to just kind of branch out and just kind of go on my way and create TCT, you know, I wanted to just kind of create and get my own account, you know, and maybe possibly, you know, earn or work for my own crew.
Yeah. How were you able to do that? How did you just like build some relationships while you were working with him?
Asking a lot of questions, man. figuring it out, you know, realizing that it's not easy, you know, because drivers had to become Safeline certified. They had to become H2S certified. They had to become, you had to be clean shaved. You know, you couldn't
be clean shaved too?
Yeah, you couldn't go with a full beard. You know, you go
to
these well sites, they're real strict.
Okay.
They're real strict. Yeah. You got to have full PPE, steel toes, hard hat, respirator, and you had to have all your certifications. So it took time. It took time for us to figure out all that requirements. So
is it like a lot of politics involved in the industry? Like when you say like clean shaven and all that, like they want you to look a certain way. Like you're driving a truck. What's the difference if you got a beard or not?
It's all about safety.
It's all about safety.
Yeah.
Okay.
Safety was priority, number one priority.
Got you. All right. So you start growing in that business. You start making relationships, and then tell me about how you start growing TCT.
We started evolving into just growing and adding more trucks to the fleet. So we started in we created TCT in late 2010.
Yeah.
And in 2011, 2012, we're good. We're all great years. 13 and 14 were probably the best years. And man, we were doing good. We're getting to a point where like oil companies started requiring trucks. You know, they needed trucks. There wasn't enough trucks to go around.
Right.
So all these oil companies just paid whatever. You know, it got to a point where we're getting paid $2,200 a day per truck, whether the truck worked or didn't work. That's how.
Whether they did or didn't work.
Yeah, correct.
Wow.
Yeah, we call that the dedicated rate. Dedicated rate.
Okay, so how does so this is obviously a specialized type of job, right? And like you said, it takes special safety training, special PPE, all this kind of stuff. So if you're in this niche, it's kind of like you said, the work don't stop. Like they always have work. But who are you going to get this work?
Man, we just get contracts, you know, and just little by little, just showing them that we had the drivers that were certified. We had the dispatch team. We had the coordinating team. We had the equipment to haul, you know, and not so much the equipment, but the capacity. The capacity to be able to do a location, a well. Let's say a well is going to run, a 2-well zipper is going to run, 2 weeks at a time. You know, are you going to be able to withstand and have that capacity from start to finish?
Right.
That was important.
Are you bidding on this work, or is it just something like, hey, this is what we're paying, bring your trucks and we'll this
back
what you
in
have.
13, 14, it wasn't so much about a bid. It was about who had the trucks, who didn't.
Okay.
So these oil companies became, price of oil back in the day in 2014 was over $100 a barrel. So they were making a killing, and there was too many completion, like wells that were completing, but not enough trucks.
Gotcha.
So at the time, oil operators were just like, hey, look, if you have the trucks, you got 30, 40, we'll pay you. We want to be able to allocate those trucks to our location. So we were making a killing. I mean, we did, we ran about, at that time, we were up to about 100 trucks, between owner operators and the company trucks. Company trucks were about 30, owner ops were about 70. So about 100 trucks running back in late 13 to 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when times were good.
How many different companies would you see out there typically, like on a frac site? Like besides
trucking companies?
Yeah, trucking companies.
Oh, gosh. Man, so in 14, times are great, good. It worked out. I'm like, man, these trucks are making a killing. We're doing about 10, 12,000 a week.
Okay.
Net, 14, 15,000 gross. We had people coming in from all over, just buying equipment. They all wanted to get into oil and gas. They all wanted to haul frac sand. And, man, in 15, I hate to say this, but 15, man, oil crashed. It just came down.
Why? What happened?
15 just came down. We were at over $100 a barrel, and the market just came down. And by then, at 15, you talk about maybe, U.S. probably had about 1,600 drilling rigs at that time, 13 and 14, and just oil crashed.
So when oil crashes, what happens to you guys?
Work just kind of went away.
So what do you do?
Figure it out,
So you have a bunch of drivers now at this point. They're depending on you for work. They're used to working every day, probably 2-3 runs a day or whatever they're doing, trips a day. And then it just cold turkey like that stops.
Cold turkey, man. So
you get a call and they say, hey, we're not drilling today. Is that how it works?
That's how pretty much what happened in 15, So a lot of the guys that were in, some of my competitors back in the day in 14 were buying brand new trailers, brand new trucks, and just couldn't survive, They couldn't make that payment. Work just stopped.
Yeah.
So I was blessed. I was one of the fortunate ones that with my money, I was able to pay all my equipment off. So I didn't have a lot of debt. I didn't have bills. I didn't have truck payments or trailer payments. So, the drivers were used to making about $2,000 a week. Well, when work stopped in 15, we had to it was just one of those moments. It was like, it was tough. We had to just kind of get by and figure it out. Okay, what do we do now? What do we do? And well, luckily in 15, 16, we went from making, let's say, $1,200 on a 100-mile haul at $1,200. Well, in 15, 16, I was only making $300 to $350.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how much it dropped.
That's dramatic, man.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the drivers they're still working, they're still doing it. But why is it a drop so much? Why is it such a drastic drop in the rate? Because you're still doing the same work.
Correct.
So is it like a matter of supply and demand? There's so much supply and there's not enough demand, so they could pay you less. Is that what it is?
So the demand dropped, and oil companies, oil operators had to figure it out. Like, okay, so if they were paying X amount for sand, they were paying about $120 a ton, and trucking was expensive. Trucking, oh my God, I mean, they were giving us $2,200 a day per truck, so they had to just figure out, okay, how do we save costs?
Save costs by paying you guys less.
Yeah.
So did a lot of guys leave you at that time?
A lot of guys left. I went from 100, I scaled back down to about 30.
Okay.
30, which were all my company trucks at that time. So by then I was already at 30 trucks. Luckily and fortunately, I was able to just have my equipment paid for, but felt bad for my guys.
Yeah, for sure. So what'd you do with the trucks during that time? The 30 trucks that you left with, your guys.
I went West Texas. I went to East Texas. I would try to find work in oil and gas. And just do what I had to do, the runs didn't pay much, but luckily in 16, 17, oil started coming back up a little bit, and back in 18, it creeped up. So eventually rates were coming back up. How
do you manage that? Because a lot of people, I mean, you guys are a pretty sizable, sized fleet, right? Even to this day currently, but a lot of, owners struggle with having to have those hard conversations with their drivers when, things dry up and things aren't looking like they once were. Going through that, how did you handle those time with your guys?
Man, just talking to them and just giving them just positive feedback. Let them know like, hey, it's coming back. It's going to get better. Just helping them, for example, let's say a driver had a bad week, he's in a bind, help the guy out. If he's got a payment, he's got to pay X amount, we advance him the money. And just able to just get by and just hustling and looking for work, trying to just get out there and just put your name out there. By then, I mean, TCT, we already had a name and a build of regards to what the trucks look like, but also the drivers, but just eventually just getting our name out there and finding the work.
But of course you can't please everybody. And of course there's going to be guys that aren't happy and that, move on and so forth. And that's just, it just is what it is,
Yeah, and there's, in trucking, there is a big turnover on drivers. There is.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you twisted, confused, or stuck about trucks, don't be dumb. This is the place to come. Truck and hustle. Let's go.